Forged by the Apocalypse, Chapter 4, Adolescent Amphibious Attack Animal. Despite the danger and my newly enhanced mind, I was still slack-jawed at the sight in front of me. My chest felt like it had been hit by a cannonball, and breathing was difficult. My recent experiences controlling pain came in useful as I forced myself to take deep breaths past my cracked ribs. Concentrating on the flow of my mana helped. There was a whole new layer to my form, which I could both feel and sense, existing as a perfect copy to my physical form. Tracing this layer was a river of power, which I could now control. I would need to, as true danger was staring me down. It was hard to breathe, not just from the hit that I had taken, but from the sight in front of me. Two stocky legs fed into a shell around 5 feet across at the chest area. A pair of strangely proportioned arms, almost like frog's legs, held a long stick forward like a staff. A squat, round head with a lipless, beakish mouth sat atop this gruesome mockery of a childhood staple. Two double-ringed eyes of yellow and red around large black irises bored directly into me. Over its head was a pair of underwear, which came down to just above its mouth. Like a quick-draw moment in a samurai movie, we were both as still as ice. The moment a single muscle twitched on either of us, a spell would break, and life or death battle would ensue. I didn't need 50 points in mental to tell me that this was dangerous. What I did need it for was the burst of inspiration I was flooded with. Instead of falling into shock, my mind was racing with ideas. I sent a wisp of mana to my eyes and locked it there, away from the flow inside. Monster. Adolescent Amphibious Attack Animal. Level 12. Oh, that's just... I couldn't help reacting to the name I saw float above the creature's head. The whole situation was completely absurd, and just the changes to my own physicality was taking some getting used to. Having a knockoff ninja turtle bearing down on me was almost too much. Almost. I was level 18, 6 levels higher than this mutant. Even if it was terrifying and stank of frog spawn, it was supposed to be weaker than me. The turtle monster was clearly focused on speed or fortitude, which was intimidating, but so what? With my physical attributes, going blow for blow wasn't going to work, but I had never planned on doing that anyway. Bounding forward, the monster growled something before I could see it gathering strength in its legs. The turtle was nearly on me, so I feinted left. The mud underneath my feet betrayed me, but the turtle was fooled all the same. I didn't get the chance I wanted, and shards of glass peppered my arms, but I ignored the shrapnel and scrambled away. I needed to maintain some distance while I figured things out. The amphibious attack animal was already clambering out of the cafe, but it hissed as its feet and hands were sliced by the broken glass. Good, you fucker. My banter needed work. Peter Parker, I was not. Its horrible eyes were full of rage as it threw itself clear of the cafe. The blood from people inside was dripping from it, staining the white underwear on its head. Come on then. This was dangerous, for sure, but it was also a valuable opportunity. I could feel the mana in my eyes phase, giving me a sense of how long such an infusion would last. I realized how I could use this situation to my advantage. With no other enemies around, and an incredibly simple attack pattern before me, I could use this creature as exercise equipment. How much of my mana pool did it cost to chop down the tree? I hadn't paid attention, but as the slimy green staff wielder came in close, I sent a similar amount to both hands. As the staff came down on my head, I brought my arms up to block. Like it had hit an airbag, the turtle was thrown back. At the same time, I suddenly felt like I'd run a 100-meter sprint. Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. My arm stung a little, but that attack could have cracked concrete. A little numbness was an incredible result. I snorted as I saw the turtle sprawled on its back, struggling to get up. The evolution of such a creature didn't make a lick of sense. Whatever maniacal mind had created this thing hadn't designed it for actual existence. Had the system turned it into this as a joke? With a scooping kick, I pushed the nasty thing onto its front. It scrambled to its feet, using the stick to help it up before looking at me warily. I felt a little like a bully, but I reminded myself that the mutated creature had attacked me first. I didn't have the luxury of kindness here. I needed to defeat 3 bosses before I could leave the dungeon. While I didn't know the limits of the place, the claustrophobia was still pressing onto me all the same. "Come on," I taunted, curling my fingers into a palm twice. "I'm not done with you yet." The knockoff seemed to understand it was being made fun of, at least, as it roared and came for the next round. I took a deep breath, specifically noting how my ribs felt better. God, magic is cool. Alright, time to practice. One thing about the regenerative effects of magic that I learned was that you needed to have mana in your system to make use of it. Only once the flow was returned and my mana refilled did I start to heal from the battle. I looked to my right and spat a mouthful of blood onto my fallen enemy. In total, the fight had probably only lasted 5 minutes, but I was exhausted down to my very soul. The bastard had gotten more than a few good hits in, and each of them was like being punched with a cinder block or hit with a steel pole. This battle had not been enough to give me another level, but that made sense considering I was 6 levels clear of the thing to start with. My issue had been the life of comfort lived up to this point. When I had struck the turtle myself, I lacked the experience needed to make the hits do damage. Able to avoid most of the damage myself and recover, I had lacked the ability to finish the fight cleanly, which is why I was currently covered in mud and drained to within an inch of my life. Mana control could be used to create a few effects. The analysis ability I had used in my eyes was one, and the infusion of strength to a limb was another. Like my eyes, I was able to leave a portion of my total mana in my arms or legs to create a burst of power. Over the fight, I became more and more able to reliably move the front of my flowing mana to where I needed it. The result was basically controlling 2 bodies at once. As I moved my arm to block, my mana followed and reinforced the bones and muscles. A quick cycle sent the remaining mana to my other fist, already in motion. The turtle went flying as the punch caught its shell. My right hand was ruined because my mana hadn't moved quick enough. That was the epiphany moment. Pain and danger, and a surprising amount of excitement all mixed into one inexorable driving force. Every fiber of my being was focused on one result: survival. I knew what I had done wrong, and knowing it was a mistake meant there was a more correct way to do it. The mana wasn't quick enough? No, that wasn't it. I wasn't quick enough. Did I need to make the mana flow from one area to the other? That was just mana use, right? My skill wasn't mana use, though. I was supposed to control it. Suddenly, all of the inefficiencies of my actions to now were highlighted in the clearest of lights. The turtle had recovered, replacing the sodden underwear which had fallen from its face. It looked at me like I was a dead man walking. I was almost offended until the fist I tried to clench exploded with agony. "Oh, yeah. Fair enough, then," I conceded mentally. One hand down. I definitely seemed like an easy target. It could not know that I had just transformed. Despite the damage, I grit my teeth and replicated my taunt from earlier. 2 of my fingers didn't move, which actually made the gesture even more perfect. I thought the one with the stick was smart. The provocation worked yet again. The next few steps were choreographed by me, the amphibian and unwilling participant. First, give the enemy a target. When it swings and misses my hand, grab the staff. A burst of mana into my working hand and one into my knee. The staff stayed still, while the turtle flew into the air from the devastating strike. I felt the bone creak in my leg, my control still not perfect, but the shell had also buckled. Before it could land, I positioned myself for the kill. Stick in hand, I ignited the mana in my arm and brought it down on the falling shell. The ground all around us buckled as the durability of the turtle fought against the strength of my blow. The sturdy staff was unstoppable, falling more like a meat cleaver than a tree branch. Whatever the creature's durability, it was useless in the face of this meteoric impact. I fell once more to the wet floor next to my slain enemy. And this was where I made the connection between my spent mana and my recovery. It took around 2 minutes for my mana to fully return, which it did so despite the state of my ruined body. From there, I felt mana seeping into the different injuries around. So there I was, 5 minutes after killing the Ninja Turtle knockoff, a slight drizzle from above keeping me cool. I turned, I spat, and my eyes widened in surprise as words floated above the dead monster. Would you like to loot Daguerre? That thing had a name. Oh God, isn't Daguerre a photographer? Someone should try to hit the system with some copyright infringement. I doubted that was going to happen, but who knew what the lawyers of the world were up to? Probably trying their best to argue the monsters away. I chuckled at my dumb joke and accepted the prompt. Looted. Pepperoni calzone. White belt. Upgradable. A few moments later, I was holding a steaming hot cheesy turnover. Perhaps I really was in shock because I couldn't help myself from taking a bite. The next thing I knew, I was licking my fingers clean. Holy... that was the best thing I've ever eaten. Perfectly spiced, perfectly cooked. The impossibility of the calzone's existence was completely overshadowed by its immaculate preparation. It was so good, I almost forgot about the other reward. Item. White belt. Upgradable. The first step on the journey to martial mastery. Defeat the remaining amphibious attack animals to upgrade. Effect. Attributes plus 2.5%. That's both ominous and awesome. I slipped the belt around my waist and could immediately feel the effects. This is a crazy item, I murmured, rubbing my thumb on the soft fabric. It really was just like a beginner's karate belt. Simply wearing this was going to give me even more power, and it could get stronger. My left hand was still messed up, but I could feel an itchy burn there which told me it was healing. I could already move all of my fingers again, when I couldn't before. Hopefully it wouldn't heal in a strange way, but there wasn't much I could do about it right now. If I was going to go turtle hunting, I couldn't just use my fists anyway. I lifted the stick from out of the dead carcass, sending some mana into my eyes, which would in turn let me analyze the weapon. Unsurprisingly, it was more than just a simple stick. Item. Yo staff. Rare. Once wielded by a gregarious monkey prince, this is a lesser version of a much more storied weapon. Effect. Infusing the yo staff with mana increases its weight exponentially. Oh yeah, I stretched my leg and back, from bruised and battered to pretty much fully healed in 15 minutes. I reconfirmed my love of magic. This world might be insane, and it would probably get me killed, but I had never felt so alive. I gave Clives one last, mournful look before making for the tree line. I would honor those people by surviving as well as I could. Time to hunt some turtles. End of chapter 4. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, or maybe even a subscribe. It all means a lot. Every interaction is helpful at this early stage, and I just want to get more people listening to the story. If you enjoyed it, please let other people know. And if you're just here for Forged by the Apocalypse, I'll see you Thursday. If not, maybe I'll see you earlier than that.